Welcome back to our YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you as always for supporting our channel. A few months ago, William Samoei Ruto appointed the former Chief Justice David Maraga to head a task force that was looking into how the government can improve the police service, prison service, and the NYS, National Youth Service. After deliberations, Maraga handed over that report to William Samoei Ruto. It was a report that contained quite, it was voluminous, and it poked holes just into how the government has neglected, the governments of the days have neglected these departments, especially the police service. It recommended, among other things, increment of their packages, improving their residential places, because our policemen, sometimes when you visit where they live, you will really feel for them. And William Ruto ordered the immediate implementation, the beginning of implementation of all the recommendations. But then experts were very skeptical about these reforms. They were good, but the ability and the seriousness and the political goodwill from the government to implement this, because this was not the first time William Ruto was meeting a particular group and ensuring them that their welfare will be improved. Currently, doctors are on strike. Yet, when you review clips when William Ruto was campaigning, you will concur with me that he promised them a lot. Teachers are hanging in the balance. We do not know whether they want to go on strike or not. There are several stakeholders that William Ruto promised heaven, but all the promises were swept under the carpet. And that is the reason why experts were wondering whether William Ruto was real this time round. Because instead of beginning to implement the promises and the recommendations of the Maraga task force report, we heard that 1,000 policemen were to be taken to Haiti from a frying pan into the fire. One person who has found himself in the middle of all this fracas by virtue of the docket that he holds is Kindiki. And I remember Kithure said, as a lawyer, I believe he knew what he was saying, that despite all the challenges that the Haiti mission is facing, we were ready, despite the court orders and the warnings. And so one just wonders whether Kithure Kindiki had gone and witnessed the kind of life that the police lives every day. And we thank God that yesterday Kithure Kindiki visited, that was Kisi, and where I think it was an impromptu meeting, whether it was planned, but he bumped into one of the residential, places where the policeman where he visited lives, and he almost shed tears. He wondered whether these are the same policemen they are planning to take to Haiti when a lot needs to be done, leave alone the cries of those who are being, you know, persecuted by the bandits, those who are crying that Kithure should give them these policemen to go and man and maintain security there. I want you to take a look at just what Kithure Kindiki met and tell me whether he has seen anything like this before.
places now where the officers are staying don't look very good. And I really want to thank you for persevering and serving the country even under very difficult circumstances. We appreciate you. And my coming here is a testament that we appreciate what you're doing. I'm particularly proud of what the formed up units within our police service have done to secure parts of our country with complicated criminal things. In particular, the anti-stock unit has done a good job in bringing normalcy. This area was very volatile. This was very going to support what CDF is doing. So I have directed the county team to put some write-up on ingine hapo na nieleze. So nataka niwashukuru. Thank you very much. We wish you.
What do you think? What is your take on the pictures that you've just seen? You know, when you see our policemen sometimes dressed neatly on the streets and you think that everything is normal, it's not. And how I wish that instead of focusing so much on the Haiti mission, we should think on how we should really embark on how to improve the welfare of our policemen. That is just but an example. If you would walk into some are even worse than the state that you see there. The same way with the prison wardens, it's the same thing. And one wonders why the government, instead of looking for money like the millions of shillings that they were given for the Haiti mission, why can't we negotiate for money so that we can improve the welfare of our policemen? In fact, in that Maraga report, it was indicated that police is one of the departments and institutions that are very corrupt. And you know, sometimes I'm not supporting corruption, but how do you stop corruption when people live in such squalid conditions? You know, sometimes if we would reverse the situation and bring William Ruto and the entire cabinet and let them live where the policemen live, would they spend even a night in such a place? And these are the people who are even sent in very hardship places. The life of a policeman is ever challenging. From such a house, and you are sent to battle, you know, cattle rustlers and some bandits. How do you boost the morale of an employee when they are living in such conditions? And I don't know, because there was a time I understand that Uhuru kind of gave them house allowances to go and now mingle with the people. I used to see, even where I live, they could take a whole flat and they live in that flat, and I think it was being paid by the government. Then Uhuru decided to now give them house allowances so that they can now look for their houses. I don't know how much house allowance the police gets, whether it's something that can allow them to stay in a nice place. When I say nice, I know nice is relative. Let me just talk of where maybe in Nairobi, in one of the areas, like a place where the lower or the lowest middle class lives, where a two-bedroom house would go for maybe 15,000. I don't know whether they get such, but we need to do something. I want you to picture a policeman from that situation, and you are a lecturer, and then they meet you on the street, and they know that lecturers sometimes get maybe 100,000 or something, and then they imagine that a lecturer from the University of Nairobi who lives in some good house is demonstrating on the streets. They will met their anger on you. Go and do your own research. There was a time I was reading an article where they say the reason why sometimes a policeman would meet, you know, teachers striking. Kitambo ilikuwa ni walimu ndio walikuwa wanaenda mgomo sana, and they will throw tear gas and beat them. I know it is part of their job, but sometimes hasira yote inawakujia, because this is a man or a woman who is living in unimaginable, deplorable state. and yet we still want to negotiate for money to go to Haiti and all this. No wonder sometimes you've seen some of the police officers decide to kill themselves because they are easily provoked. And when you see such things, you not even want to make their life difficult. And I'm not saying that all of them are good, but sometimes we really feel for them. That is why they just kill themselves. Kitu kidogo hivi amekasirika, anajiua ama anaua mwenzake. I don't know whether you understand where I'm coming from. The same Kindiki met. I know he was shocked. He was telling them, thank you for enduring this kind of conditions and all this. All I'm saying is that we need to move with speed to implement the Maraga report, because that task force guzzled money. People sat there, they were sitting allowance and all that. We need to implement that. Let us not sit on it so that we can improve the welfare of the policemen. Not only the police, the NYS and the prison warden, the teachers, the doctors. We really need to look into the affairs of all the civil servants, because if that was in Nyamira, what of the other places? This is quite unacceptable, and this is why the police sometimes engage even in robbery. And I'm not supporting robbery. I'm not saying they should kill themselves, but these are the kind of things that demotivate an employee. We really need to give them incentives and motivate them so that they do a good job. And I know there are a good number of some good policemen. Others must also just decide to be good, because sometimes others are just unnecessarily corrupt, cruel, and they do not want to maintain law and order. But William Ruto, Rigathi Gachagua, you remember that policeman who called your name and said he's been a driver for long and there's no promotion. We should look into how they get promoted, what they're paid when they get to the hardship places. I don't know what you think, ladies and gentlemen, but that Maraga report must not be delayed even for 1 minute, because it is very imperative, and that is my take.